So it's just folding in a sense of being familiar with certain attributes throughout the wedding. It tugging on nostalgic moments and just like very cozy moments. Like that is why I am doing what I do.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Business of Luxury Weddings. Today we are so lucky to have Lea Stafford from Stafford Creative & Co. Out of the East Bay area in California. Thank you for being here. We're looking forward to a great conversation with you. Can you just take a couple minutes and tell us about you, your business, your background? How did you get here?
Sure. I actually come from the world of interior design. So years ago, about 15 or so years ago, I made that transition from interior design over into hospitality. And once I was introduced into the world of hospitality, I knew I could do some things within this world. And being in it, I've grown. I started out with a catering company, went over to experiential marketing, and had my toes in a little bit of everything, which led me to ultimately starting my own brand. And my own brand just focuses on all things that make people happy and gather, whether that's personal gatherings or corporate and branded gatherings.
You said, like, as soon as you came into hospitality, like you said, I knew this was for me. I'm curious, like, what was that? Like, what was the feeling? What grabbed you?
I love the ability to be able to create an idea or a concept, whether it's aesthetically or it's just coming together as a collective and taking it a purpose and making it your own. So you have a goal of this day, of this weekend, and being able to pull apart the pieces and put a production together, take it all down and do it all again the following week, the following month, but in a very different way. So I love being able to produce something with purpose and then doing it again in a very different way and putting your spin on it.
You think that's the interior design background, like influencing that? Well, and then beyond that, how did you end up in interior design? What led you there, if I may ask? I'm just curious about this whole journey.
Sure. Interior design, I knew I wanted to do something with design. From a young age, I found myself constantly rearranging the house, whether it was the living room, the bedroom, the bathroom, whatever it was. I was constantly rearranging it and wanting it to feel different every so often. And I've always been into the arts. Every opportunity that I had to sign up for an art program at school or participate in some sort of creative arts. I was a dancer for years. I was a painter, a sketcher. So anything that had to do with the creative arts, I was there for. And there was also this part of me that had a social justice side where I wanted to see equality no matter what shape or form it was in or it came in. So there was this world in which I thought I would actually show or make an impact in this like social policy environment. And then there was this creative world. So I went to school and got my degree in interior design first, then went to school and got my degree in political science, and then found myself in the hospitality industry. So now it's like blending both worlds, all of the worlds rather, in a way that feels really comfortable for me.
Yeah, so what are your classic overachievers, what I'm hearing? So I did this one, and I did that degree, and then I did this. Now I'm here. But I love that. I love the story, the layers of it, right?
Yeah.
Adding to the toolkit over the years. And now, anyway, I love that.
Always growing, always growing.
Are you from the East Bay? Like, you grew up there?
Yeah, I'm from Oakland, California.
Gotcha. So that's the home. It's a beautiful area. You, as we kind of prepped a little bit prior to this, you talked about a passion that you have, and that passion was around intention. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how do you use intentionality in your life and in your business, but then extend that out to your clientele and the events that you do?
Certainly. I think that's the bone that led me toward political science and wanting to be a change maker or see, systems put in place to balance out inequity. And I think if you live your life with intention, it leads to a bigger purpose. And the day to day, while I do have my moments, I'm not perfect, obviously, I try and practice at all times intention, making decisions that I think are going to lead to healthy lifestyle shifts or changes or personal growth, support for my littles, I have children, or support for my village or my community, whether that's just connecting and encouraging and uplifting and promoting within the community itself. And just really moving with a goal in mind and a purpose to leave this planet better than how I came into it.
Yeah, and I can imagine that has a direct influence on how you select your teams, how you work, how you view the event, right? Yeah.
What are those? And forgive me if I'm getting too personal. We can cut it out. What are those practices in your personal life that you're saying, like, I start with this? Because I find so much like it's with what I do on a personal level on a day-to-day basis that eventually is just pouring out into the rest of my life, which is including business and partnerships, et cetera. Are you willing to share what some of those personal practices are?
I think it's going to sound a little selfish, but ultimately it's not. I think what makes me happy is what drives me to practice certain practices. So knowing that at the end of the day, I want to feel good about my day. I want to feel useful. I want to make someone else happy. I want to make sure that I'm encouraging someone else. So whether that's getting my mindset right and getting up and, stretching or doing yoga or just really checking myself and grounding myself in a way that I can actually receive what I need to receive throughout the day, I set that intention. I have to have some time to be able to do that. I have to have some time to really focus on what goal I may have for the day or for the week. So it's really carving out some time to lead me to the practice that will ultimately allow me to be most intentional.
Self-care. Like, that's what I hear you saying is
it is
literally, I'm taking care of myself.
It took a long time for me to be okay with it, honestly, because I've always wanted to give myself to other people. And obviously having a family, you have to do that. You become selfless for so many years. And at one point it just was about the family, or it was about the clients, or it was about the business. It wasn't about what it is that's going to make Lea feel good in order to give out.
Which makes you best, right? Because if that space is not happy and productive and safe and all of these things you want for others, right? We can't give that, And it's like, I think old school, it seems selfish, because sacrifice. But now I get it too. Like, you don't take care of yourself, you're not happy, you're not satisfied. There's no chance of expressing that ever. Or giving it to others, how could you? Yeah.
Well, and I know from personal experience, if mama's not happy in my family, if mama's not happy, if mama's not taking it, you guys, I think as women and as mothers, from my experience, my own family is they take care of so much of the family and so many things. And I've watch my wife when she's not taking care of herself and starting from that place, it rolls out to everybody. And I hear that's what you're saying here across your business and events and family, et cetera. So kudos to you for making that switch or change.
And what has been the effect, I'm curious, for you in your life when you started doing that in your business? Like, what's the correlation?
So,
you see anything?
I do, honestly. And, there's this work-life balance that people talk about. There's no such thing, in my opinion. And I think it really comes down to setting the expectations of what you will allow and what you won't allow. And some people call those boundaries. And, you have to be able to flex with that. And what I found is by really carving some time out for myself on a daily basis or on a weekly or monthly basis, whatever that may be, it allows me to slow down in order to think more clearly or even advance. So when you start to pull back from certain things, whether it be external noise, distraction, communications that are constantly coming in, by the way, notifications, I shut off. I don't allow notifications on my phone. It's just really being able to identify what will allow you to advance and be the best in whatever lane that you choose to be the best in that moment. So I'm now able to slow down and travel, and my eyes are open. They're not looking down at a screen. I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm inspired by the surroundings. I float that into my design, into my experiential pitches. I'm actually allowed to live, and I'm allowed to be creative through my living, which is how I pour into my design concepts or just the experience.
See, this is why I love these conversations so much, because like looking at your work, which we've known for years, but looking at it again this week, like your website as well, it is very clear. There's no uncertainty in it. Listening to you talk now, it's just you. It's clear. It's to the point. It's precise. It's not uncertain. You talk about intention, I can see that in the work. I can feel it. So it's really cool to hear the back end of that.
I'm glad that goes through.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now's the part where you tell me, I hate my website.
There is some work to be done on it. There is some work.
That's funny. Yeah. So what does that look like then, taking that client facing? Is there certain processes that you've put into place, methodologies, strategies that you're like, here's the approach to bringing intentionality to my clients and to our events?
I'm glad you asked that question, James. So we have fumbled. And I'm a big believer that, you just pick yourself up and you dust yourself off and you learn from it and you go at it. So over the years, we've learned from our experiences. While we do things quite well, we have done things in the past that, due to circumstances, just didn't lead to great experiences on both ends, right? So fast forward now, it's all about setting up those expectations from the beginning with our clients, from that initial point of contact, having the conversation just like this, a very organic conversation, not a salesy conversation. It has to feel very comfortable. We're spending hours on end with these clients, and we have to be vulnerable. They have to be vulnerable. So you have to get to a level where you're comfortable pulling that out, because when you do strip everything down and you're not doing it for social media, you're not doing it for your family, you're not doing it for following, whatever that may be, it actually takes you further, because now you're stripping it down and you're talking about your true mission. You're talking about your love story. You're talking about whatever is very passionate to you in your life. And we're able to take it in its rawest form and actually create some sort of very personalized, tailored, custom, whatever word you choose for, experience. And it feels good because it's true to you. It's true to your brand, and it's true to us because we're able to bring our creative hats to the table. And yeah, I'm passionate about being able to connect with our clients on a deeper level, because that yields the strongest result, in my opinion.
Yeah. So instead of coming with like a sales pitch, now you say that you don't have a sales pitch. I imagine you sitting there listening to this client, gathering this. That's harder. There's more work. But now you're in the zone of the exceptional. Now you can really create something. It's like, wow, where you can sell a concept, pre-sell it. Not bad, 4 bedrooms, it's fine. But like exceptional is not pre-packaged, is it? It doesn't work like that.
No.
Yeah. Sorry,
it's all what you're giving us. It's what you're giving us. It's the collection of experiences up until the point in which we meet that makes up your lifestyle. I want to hear about those experiences. So that is what we really tap into. And, you've got these questionnaires that planners send out. Yes, we send out a questionnaire, but our questionnaire, I feel like, is a little bit deeper, and it goes into a little bit of the psychology of things. And that really allows us to get to the root of what it is we can tug on.
So you start with a questionnaire. I'm selfishly digging into this because as photographers, we're not working with a client for a year to 18 months before we have a phone call. And then we might not see them again for 12 months or hear from them again for 12 months. And we get another 10-minute call. And then here we are at the event. So I'm kind of just digging into this a little bit. You have a questionnaire. And then do you have multiple, or is it a single conversation? Is that over dinner? Is it like you come into the office or you go to their home? What is that?
All of the above. All of the above. And that's why it's really important for us to not jump on to the planning and production train later, right? I've learned over the years that I need time to sit with people. I need time. So if you don't have the time, we're probably not the best fit for you, because I have to be able to hang with you. I have to be able to go to dinner with you, to hang at your office or sit at your dining table and see how you live, what type of china you like, how are you interacting with your pet. I want to be able to have those meaningful moments, because that's where I learned so much.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love it.
So how many events are you doing like this? Because in my head, I'm just like,
one.
Intentionality.
That was another big learning. We used to do 8 to 12. Now it's 5 to 8 max, maybe 8, if that. So I love these days to hover around the 4 to 5 a year. Like, that would be ideal. Different years call for different circumstances, or different years lead to different circumstances. But yeah, that's ideal.
And are you traveling for a lot of that? Are you staying local? What's your preference? I'm assuming the vision is pretty big here. You're global. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, we're definitely global. We've done events all over. It needs to make sense. Like, I'm not going to do an event in Europe or, Mexico just for the sake of it. It has to make sense. It used to be 50-50. Right now it's skewing more local, but that changes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also experience speaking, right? Because 15 plus years ago, you hear wedding in Italy, at least. So me, I'm like, go. And then you go and you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's bad weddings in Italy.
Yeah.
Just because it's Italy doesn't mean it's amazing. But anyway.
Exactly.
And it's far away and hard to get to sometimes. Wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's only boats. You can only take boats.
Yeah, some places in Italy.
Some parts of Italy. We know what places you're in.
We were just in Venice, and you realize quickly how difficult it is. At first, it's so novel and interesting and cool.
Yeah.
And then like day 2, you're like, I've got to take another boat to get over there to go to this event. And it adds another hour of time. You're just like, oh, I've got to get out of this place.
Yeah, because we went to Puglia after. All of a sudden, that space, it was just like walking, feet on the ground. Like, it was just nice to get out of Venice. Anyway.
I'm curious then, like, so I understand you're sitting with your client, you're really truly connecting, you're truly listening. What are the ways that you take all that information into the event? Because I'm assuming you're going to connect all of that information you're gathering with the guest experience. What's that process look like? I'm always so curious about the creative brain, and then how you take and create this experience. And we watch it happen. We get to photograph it. We get to feel it, but the planning of it, the creating of that experience. Do you have specific processes that you do to implement that?
It's just me being nosy. It's me asking questions. It's me, scanning. If I'm sitting in a client's dining room and they're offering me dinner or tea or whatever it is, I'm looking at their pottery. I'm looking at their ceramics. I'm looking to see, what type of stoneware you like. I'm flipping it over. I want to bring that to your wedding if I can do that. Obviously, cuisine, that's the easy one. I need to understand where you like to eat. I love to know what your favorite drink is. And if it's a restaurant that may have closed down, or maybe it's not closed down, and it was your first date spot or your anniversary spot, what does that menu look like? Can we recreate using the branding, the graphics? Can we actually bring that restaurant to your event so it makes you feel so cozy and familiar when you sit down to that dining table? So it's just folding in a sense of being familiar with certain attributes throughout the wedding, it tugging on nostalgic moments and just like very cozy moments. Like that is why I am doing what I do, because I want to recreate those moments.
Yeah. Cozy again. It sounds like that interior. It sounds like that interior design, it feels like you're creating this little space. It was like a living room. Here we do this, and now it's a cocktail hour. It's like this. And then we reset it, It's something that keeps coming up in these episodes and we spoke to Jackie, he's on the while ago about it, and he said the luxury buyer is just becoming, they're spending for experience, right? It's not just about budget anymore. It's like, you talk about it now, give me that feeling, it can be simple, somewhere amazing, but that's what we're after. Have you seen that shift? It sounds like that's your client.
So I've lived that for years. I feel like coming from the world of experiential design and marketing, that is what that was all about. So I've been living that since, 09, 2010. And it's just now making its way into the wedding scene. And I shouldn't say just now, it's becoming more mainstream, but that has always been our approach, because I think everyone deserves that. Like, why else are we getting together?
Yeah, right. Are we flying all this way? Yeah. I love that. I was just thinking about the experiential design, again, the influence of that in your work. Do you miss that, doing that? What was that like? What did that look like? I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what that means.
No worries. So what I did, I actually freelanced for about 8 years for different marketing agencies. They're global marketing agencies. They work for massive corporations. They put on trade shows. They put on galas. They put on concerts. And you just learn so much from that world. And you learn and gain the ability to be able to read into a message or a purpose and translate that into an actual experience, and taking it even a step further, a sensory experience. So people talk about activations all the time and engagement. That's a form of a sensory experience, right? So when we approach our events, we want to tug on as many of the senses as possible. You want to tap into that taste. You want to tap into the sound. You want to tap into the feel. All of the things, you want to be able just to soak it in. So I am a fan of being able to express what it is you're hoping to express in those different ways. And adding culture to it is my other thing. I really want people to show up and show out in their truest form at all times. So if there's a culture or a tradition that you are familiar with or your family practices, give it to us. We want to see how we can infuse that into the day itself.
And that's such a special experience for the guests who are outside of that tradition, right? To come in and experience, whether it's a Jewish ceremony or, whatever you are talking about, the tradition might be. Because I know from a photography standpoint, like that Jewish celebration, the joy that comes from that, or a great Indian wedding where there's just feels like pure chaos and color everywhere. Like you get immersed in this experience, and it's the same thing as travel, right? But you're just doing it at an event, which is so cool.
Yeah. I think it's the most beautiful thing. And I pride myself on wanting to provide events that have a soul. And this is what I mean by it. It's really packing in the purpose, the intention, the culture, and the sense of community. Because once you do all of that and you orchestrate that in a way that just is on point, you create this community, and you've now built a bond between this community. walk away remembering these moments, and you've enlightened them as well, because not everyone who attends an event knows, what jumping the broom may be or what carnival is, right? But now they do. They've experienced it in real time.
Yeah. But Lea, then talk to me about your community, your team, your crew, because you're this intentional. You're intentional with them too, I assume. Intentional, picky, however you want to call it. But like,
I think I'm known as picky. I maybe, I'm also a creative, so I'm kind of like a space cadet sometimes. But my team is my backbone, because I have to stay grounded, and they pull me, and they have to stay on top of me with things, because I get lost in the experience. I get lost in the inspo. I want to go frolic and, get inspired. So I rebranded at the end of last year, went from Lea Stafford Events to Stafford Creative & Co., because the team is very important. And the way that we approach events, to your point, is so intentional. There are a number of touch points. And if we want to have a seamless process, you have to have a number of hands to participate in that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So I bet you work with your crew over and over, right? You keep it close. There's a sense of family. I love that. Yeah.
I'm curious what the research and development looks like from a experiential standpoint. I mean, do you travel a lot? Do you take your family, go? I mean, what does that look like for you?
We travel a lot. I love food. I love fine dining specifically. That's how I got pulled into the hospitality industry. I love exhibits. So if I can go to a show, an art gallery, any type of exhibit, I'm there if time allows. I love to just drive, get lost. And especially when you travel, as long as it's safe, just wander. I'm starting to travel more without plans. So rather than building an itinerary, I just travel and just let the wind blow me.
I like it. I like that a lot.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wrote that.
That's my general life philosophy. So I'm a big fan of
right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, and we're both willing to take some risk when it comes to whether it's travel or how we live. So it's been a fun part of our journey, I think, is to explore and get lost.
No, but as a person, right, you have to be okay with failing. What did you call us in the beginning? We've blundered, or what did you say? We've stumbled?
Fumbled.
Oh, yeah, we fumbled. Yeah, everyone
that's
fumbled.
A hashtag. We fumbled, because I fumbled my ass off my whole life. But that's part of the process. And even in business, we talk about like failing fast and often. Not being stuck, looking for perfect, like move, push into it, fail. It's okay. It's part of the process. It's the cliche thing, but it's true, isn't it? Like you have to risk it.
It's absolutely true. And these days, I am preaching about imperfection. I'm okay with imperfection. I think it's quite beautiful because you learn so much from it. And sometimes you have to live in it. You have to be uncomfortable to grow and learn.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. We had like a transformative moment like that. Sorry, James, years ago, I'm thinking of that Diane Arbus exhibition where for years it was hard as a photographer to make a good image. The gear was limited. Now the gear got so good. The work was just like perfect, like so sharp, so colorful, nothing missed. And we went to this Diane Arbus show in New York City. And I don't know if you know her work, but it was a series of exhibition photographs, small ones, but flawed. So flawed, out of focus, and it just impacted us. We went back and we said, like, we have to bring flaw, let flaw into the work. Like, don't move through it, embrace it. That out of focus photo, like there's something there perhaps, so.
No, it's the struggle. I just was thinking about what you're saying, or what you're both saying is, I would just have this conversation with my 12-year-old is like, we remember things that are hard. We remember the things that we've struggled through and we really had to work for. And I think that's why I think failure can be so powerful, is because it's a crucible that allows you to truly learn something, hopefully, but also like creates real memories. Like everything my boys talk about in growing up are almost all the hard things, like this mountain we had to climb, or the river we had to wade, or the time our car broke down and we got lost. And stumbled or fumbled our way into a great cafe and had this most amazing meal that you would have never found, right? And on and on and on. Yeah, and I just love that idea, that concept of it's great to make mistakes. Yeah,
because there's no way around it. If you want to succeed at anything, think about anything in this life, anything, you have to fail first. It's lifting weight, it's whatever. There's no way to just do the thing and you have to fail.
Be perfect.
No, it's impossible. You're not trying hard enough. You're not failing. That's because you're not pushing the limit. So, you're still lifting 5 pounds. Yeah, sure. But like, try 7. And then it's like awkward for a little bit. Then all of a sudden, 7. And then otherwise you're just stuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've said this already.
Would you be willing to share some of like those learning moments? I mean, what are some like big takeaways that you like a big fumble and you're like, this was the thing that I learned from that? That might be a hard question to answer on the spot.
No, I can answer it.
She's like, no, I've got lots of them. I love it.
One of the biggest things for me is being okay not doing it yourself, right? It's, I tried to hold everything and do everything because I want it to be done this way and done by me. And it wasn't an ego thing. It was just like, I want to have the control to make sure it comes out just like this. And after it affects your health, after it affects your sanity and your ability to show up in other spaces for other people, whether it's personal or business, that's when it becomes an issue. And going through that really allowed me to learn how to delegate and be okay with not having to do everything myself. And it's still going to come out just fine, maybe even better. Personal moments hit through the past 2 years, and I struggled with some communications to clients. And that was a wake up moment. You have to have a team. You can't do it all yourself. Things happen out of your control. So now you have to put a system in place to be able to support it when things happen again. So definitely a lot of learning. Yeah. Over the years.
Yeah. I love it. But and still super successful, right? You've made some mistakes and still going and still on top.
Yeah.
That's great. And maybe
remain true to yourself.
Yeah. And maybe more successful because of the errors and because of the fumbles. Because if you actually are learning from it, you're only going to get better. You're going to have growth. I'm curious. I'd love to, again, selfishly, if there's photographers out there listening, what's the best way to approach Stafford Creative & Co? Like, let's just say James and Schultz would really love to work with Stafford. Let's just say, we would love to collaborate on it. What do you think is the best way to begin that relationship, to begin that collaboration? Is there a way that you've been approached that you're like, man, that was such a great way, and now that person is part of our team? We get to work with them semi-regularly.
Yeah.
What does that look?
Well, knowing what you know about me now, I'm very intentional. So it has to make sense. So if this photographer, this company wants to reach out, they have to understand our philosophy and our approach. And if it does align, then I think the most realistic approach would be via a connection, finding a mutual connection to make an intro, finding ourselves in the same space so we can meet in person. Definitely not a cold call, because there's so many of those that come in. It's hard to distinguish the difference. And we all still just don't have that time to pour into looking through all of what comes in your inbox. So I feel like a more organic and personal approach is what really catches my attention.
Gotcha. Would you say even in a cold call? Because at some point, someone has to reach out in some way, whether it's a handwritten note or a DM or a like sidle up to you at the bar at a networking event.
Yeah.
Like,
come up to me at the bar.
But just be intentional, be personal. Find like understand who you are before you make that reach.
Please. Yes.
Please.
Okay.
So you're saying that like a template that you send to the same people over and over and over again might not be the best approach for you.
I mean, listen. We all have templates. Let's not pretend we don't have templates.
Yeah. But SOP,
you have to adjust the template to make it make sense. I just want to make sure that that connection that would potentially lead to a relationship is a valuable relationship. It's a true relationship. Because I like to have fun with my partners. I want to use them over and over again. I want to partner with them over and over again. I don't want to partner with someone I don't click with over and over again. So I want it to be a long-lasting relationship.
And you're already saying you're only doing this 5 times, 6 times a year. So you're like, seats are limited, Yeah.
And I don't want to come off that way. It's just,
it's the reality.
It's the reality. I'm not doing 20 a year.
No, I love it. I love that. And that's good. That's okay. And that's good. And that's intentionality too, right? There is scarcity. Because my wife says it all the time. My wife's going to love this episode because I keep referencing her. She's saying every yes is a no. Every yes you say to somebody is a no to something else. And so you have to be intentional. You have to prioritize. I have a hard time with that. I want to say yes to everything. Like, well, there's opportunity. Let's say yes, 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 yes. And she's always like, wait a minute. Maybe saying yes to that thing is a no to our kids or to me or to what have you. So
treat the yeses like currency. They're valuable. They're really valuable. And, time in itself is the most precious gift. So you got to think about how that yes leads to you utilizing your time and prioritizing that. Because that is a currency we can't get back.
No.
Time. Ever.
It's the one. Gosh, it's been a real conversation. I love this.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Maybe thinking about your future goals.
So I have always had a plan to live my life the way I want to live it and share that way of living with those people who live similar lifestyles. And this has ultimately led to beginning a lifestyle brand. And rather than me calling it a lifestyle brand, because people have their own interpretation of what that means, for me, it's more of a POV. It's a perspective of living. And my upbringing coming from where I come from, it isn't the most glamorous. It isn't, synonymous with affluence. There are certain pockets within the community that do lend itself to that, but my family did not come from that. Now, that didn't deter me from desiring nice things and appreciating nice things. So it's been a mindset and that I've had to work through. People who come from different backgrounds, are they less deserving of those things? No, they're not. They are entitled to that. And I want to share with everybody out there that they are entitled to those nice things, even though they didn't come from that. And this point of view is really about, again, intention and pulling all of my life experiences under one umbrella. I am launching a brand called 7-8 coming out at the end of the year. And it is a lifestyle perspective. It will be hosting events. So there'll be public events that are produced. There will be interior design services. So I'm going back to that under this lifestyle brand. There will be an e-commerce section. There will be tips and travel information. So it's really all of the things that I truly love to do as an individual and the way that I live, but through a lens of just purpose. And once I share all of the information about where to travel, how to entertain at home, there will also be some education behind it. Why I suggest doing this, who you can run into when you travel here. Best practices to travel to developing countries. Don't just snap a picture of someone on the corner. That is not a general practice you should have. Don't expect a Western lifestyle when you go visit, Thailand or wherever you may travel to. So ultimately, this is a lifestyle brand with a conscience. I want to educate. I want to expose. I want to enlighten and encourage through this way of living.
Yes, I love that. That's a good pitch. Sign me up. I love that. Seriously. I'm sitting here going, where else can we go right now? Like, did I do that? It's amazing.
And please, as soon as we have links to that new brand, like we're happy to put that in the show notes here. People can access that. Or if you know what that might be, we can do it now. But that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a very organic thing. I don't want it to feel... I don't want to say other people's companies on here. So I don't want it to come off as a brand and follow us. It's literally come live this life alongside of us. This is going to be a path that we just discover together. It's very organic. And again, it's just another community that I want to build.
So I'm assuming all of this, like we talked about this earlier, like lifestyle, food, it's travel, it's health. It's yoga, it's trails, it's all of this stuff.
It's a brand about intentionality. Like, yeah, which is kind of this whole conversation has been about. And thank you for bringing that.
Nice people, nice stuff.
Yeah. Lea, thank you so much for coming on and spending your time with us.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this conversation.